just tidying my desk up, just making sure all is well in the world. I'll just get my phone switched on and we'll be ready to go. There we go. Right, well, yes, I hope you're well. It's Thursday night, so that only means one thing. We are here live in the group, as we always have been for the last 4.5 years. Pretty much. I will say that, but we did miss one or two. So, yeah, hopefully all is good with you. I'll just make sure I got all the bits and pieces I needed. Yes, I hope I'm in sync as well. We've had a few issues with being in sync. So tonight is all about part two of Aubretia. Not easy for me to say. And I've seen some already being made, which is fantastic. It's a really nice. It's a really nice pattern. Well, the technique, it was the technique more than anything. I kind of had to work around the technique to bring something to you that was interesting, and I really thought it was. And that's been proved because there's been quite a few made. And I've seen lots sort of part made, you know, ready for the next step, which is fantastic. So that's what it's all about really tonight, but also it's all about welcoming the new members, which of course I'm going to have to look on my phone, because I've got new glasses. I can actually see my PC and see what's written on it. I did actually struggle quite a lot before. So let's have a look. So we've got some new members. Let's have a look, because our lovely Nicola, as you all know, she posts every Thursday morning the list of the new members, if we've got any. So we don't always expect any, but it's always nice when we do. And it's always a good reminder as well of where to find things, because if you're an older member, don't ever think, oh, that doesn't include you, because actually it's a really good reminder of a lot of things. So we've got Jennifer Shaw, we've got Pat Beaton and Marion Wright. So welcome you guys. It's lovely to have your company. It's lovely that you joined the group. I hope that you've kind of found your way around a little bit. It can be a bit tricky at first, and us are sort of oldies, if you like, and more experienced people, we kind of we're not complacent, but we kind of always think, oh, you'll know where that is. Well, of course you don't, unless you've been here before. So don't forget, we've got the website. Now the website is all about patterns, it's about videos as well. It's not about the lives here particularly, although, and I have to say I've got one to catch up on. We do have the lives in the members TV. So if you're on the members page, you have to log in and go to the members page. Not only are the 2 monthly patterns there, so you've got Austin and Aubretia, but you've also got Gold Members TV, and on there should be all of the lives for, well, at least the last couple of years. So you just have to scroll through and find one that's of interest. What I tried to do now is to put in the title the date of the live and what the main thing is. So for instance, week 1 we've been doing our journals, week 2 and 3 have become now the makeup that we're doing Aubretia. Last month it was Julia. So we kind of at the moment we're kind of sticking to that plan because it's working, and I think you're enjoying it. I don't get huge feedback about it, but I kind of have to use my intuition and think, yeah, I think you are getting something out of it. So yes, so that's the website, so that's where all the patterns are and everything. And of course, if you want an older pattern, then that's where you'll find it. If you know the name, dead easy. If not, just scroll through. In fact, if you go to all products, which is the first box, if you like, on the website, on the front page, there's over 300 patterns in there. I posted about that earlier actually. We forget how many we've done, and also we forget their names, we forget if we know the name, we know roughly what month it is, because I always name them after the month. So obviously with Austin and Aubretia, we've got August. That's how we get to those names, and so that's that's quite handy for us, because we can remind you where you might find them. The Facebook group here is all about social, so it's all about you posting your makes, and saying hello to members and saying good morning to me in the morning. You can see the member of the month, that's Susan this month. You'll be able to see the banner on the top of the page is always the member of the month's one of their makes, and Susan has made lots of things, so we've got lots of good choices. So yeah, so it's more the social thing here in the group, and also if you go into the files, you will find huge amounts of information. Our Jackie Grant posts a document every month that has all the lives, roughly what they were about. If there's a pattern that I might have given you for the part of one of the lives, then it's in the files as well. So it's always a good place to look in the files. Everybody has that on their phone. Some people say, oh, I haven't got it. You will have. It's all part of the Facebook setup. It's just you need to perhaps scroll across, where it says things like photos. I'd have to look now to have a look, see what it says. It says reels, about, listings, featured, photos and files, and that's actually a movable bar, so you can files for me is right on the right far right, and I have to actually move the bar across. It's not an obvious bar, it's not perhaps something that you would realise that was a bar, but you can, if you're clever, you can actually move them so that it fits in with you a bit better. But what I'm trying to say is that you can actually move that bar and see all the other things that are along it, of which there's photos and there's files, which actually are quite two of the most important things in the group, apart from albums, which brings me very nicely to the fact that about an hour ago, our lovely Nicola, we were both looking at it at the same time. We looked at the August album, because I said into my admin group, we've got a WhatsApp group that we chat on, and I said, you know what, there's never a day that goes past when we don't have any beautiful makes from you guys. It can be anything that you've been working on, and we love to see the photos, and every day we're not disappointed. There's loads that comes into the feed, and then what happens, it just drops off the bottom of your page almost. It's a bit like having a flat earth, isn't it? It just drops off and never to be found again. Well, this is where the albums come in handy, because the albums will have a sort of a file, if you like, an album for this current month, which is August, obviously, and we both were looking at the album and thinking, well, we've had so many lovely photos this month, and yet there was only, I think from memory, there was something like 17 pictures, and it was like, well, that doesn't make sense, because the girls, the ladies, they go in there to pick out their tea time treat picture, which I hope you have a look at every day. And there was only 17, and both Nicola and I said, well, we know there's been more than that, because we do encourage you to put your photos into the album. And within the next half an hour, Nicola had dropped in, it's now up to 115 photos. So what I'd like you to do after the live is to go into the album, the August album, and see if you can spot yours. And if you can spot yours, first of all, say thank you to Nicola for doing a massive piece of work, and then tell us something about it. You may have done that in the feed, in the discussion that you always get up in the group, but we will have forgotten and it's all lost, whereas in the album that stays there forever, which is great. And Nicola said something really, it was quite funny really, but it was also quite prudent, in as much she said, look, I don't want to lose my photos. I want my photos to be there so I can look at them at any time I like. I know she's got them on her phone, but also it's a good place to visit to remind you what you posted that month. So the albums are there to, you know, show off, I suppose, really. And we will all try as admin to encourage you to do that over the next few months, just so you get in the habit. But if you, like I say, if you, after the live, go to the albums, look for the August one and see if you can find the picture that you might have posted a couple of weeks ago, and write something about it. Tell us that it belongs to you, and also tell us a little bit about it, and then that will fill the album up, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that and seeing how you get on. It's not difficult to do, honestly. Just click on albums. On my phone, albums is the top left here. Top left, yes. Top right. I knew I'd get that wrong. Top right, 3 bars. If I click on that, if I just hold that there, if I click on that, that's what comes up, and you can see albums down the bottom there. And that's all you do. You just click on that, you find the pertinent album that you want, and post your pictures. I must admit there's loads of albums there that you can look back on as well. Lots of interesting things, to be honest. Okay, so that's that really. So welcome to the new members. I rambled. Thank you very, very, very much, Nicola, for putting the album straight. We've now got 115 pictures in there, which is awesome. A real treasure trove of things to dip into. So let me go back onto my page and get my live up so I can see. Let's just go on to silent. There we go. And oh, that's okay, Sally. I've just seen Sally's comment. I didn't know where you found it. I must admit, this is an iPhone. Other phones and devices are different, but yeah, do have a little look and see if you can find them. So tonight we're going to carry on with Aubretia, which is this one here. And like I say, there's been quite a few finished and part made Aubretias in, hopefully they're in the album now. You'll be able to go and have a look. And what does that say? Karen says the 3 bars are top left on my Android phone. Thank you, Nicola. I love trawling the albums. Yeah, so do I actually, Karen, because it's a great reminder what we've all been up to. So let me just bring my Aubretia up, and we'll go on the overhead. If I hold it up this way, you might, I don't think it will fall off. That's what it looks like. And I'm studying it because only from a distance, if you can see something is wrong. That looks all right. I'll tell you the other thing you really should do, and that's to take a photograph. Take a photograph of when you've, even if you've only got halfway, take a photograph, because something that's wrong will stand out. And I don't know, I can't remember who said this, but they thought they'd finished it, and when they looked at it they realised they missed a row. And that was one of the things I said, is that you might well miss a row. It would be quite easy to do. Yeah, so let's have a quick look on the overhead then. What size is your mat? Well, I'll be honest with you, Jackie, all of the information about the size of my mat, the size of the G700, everything is in the pattern. And it saves me repeating everything, that it is all in the pattern, I promise you. And also last week, on week 1, I did actually go through all of that as well. So it's good to catch up on previous lives, and then you don't miss anything. So you can see, if we look at it, you know, you could say, oh gosh, it looks a bit scruffy. And as we iron this onto the G700, obviously some of these wrinkles will iron out, which is great. I showed you last week how to weave these, the light coloured, the colour that goes on top of the box. When you post your pictures, this is how it should look. This is the top, This is the front where there's no sunshine coming in, and this is the side of the box where you're getting just a wee bit of sun. So the sun is kind of coming down, I would say, at sort of that angle, or you can't see. You can see me in the camera there, but it's coming down at sort of that angle, so you're catching the side and the top. So if you post it like that, okay, you can see the diamonds, but you're not getting the full effect. So it's just a little pointer. So if you want to show your work off, then make sure that you you know, put it on the right angle. That's what I'm trying to say. So this hasn't been ironed. It's still sitting on the G700. Let me just try to get it on my table. So the G700 is still, hold on, let me get it over a bit more. It's still sitting there, glue side up, because don't forget, we went through everything last week, so there shouldn't really be any need for me to repeat. If you missed this part, which is probably the one that might blow your mind for a bit until you've got it, I did do it a couple of times. It's actually really easy, and if I put my wefty in there, you're coming, there we go, you're going under this diamond, so you're going under this building block, if you like, and you're coming out on the roof of this building block. But it's the diamonds. If you look at the diamonds here, it's under on the bottom diamond, and you're coming out at the top of that diamond there. And I think the pictures in the pattern are really good. I particularly wanted to make sure that that was really clear. And in the video last week, in the live last week, I show this. So although I've gone ahead and done the whole thing, you didn't want to see me do all that. It took me a couple of hours after lunch today to get these woven in place. So the main thing we want to do now is, if I get my Aliso hot, I would suggest that you use your big household iron now, and not use your little one, because you need to cover quite a bit of an area, and you need to get a good adhesion, is that right? Adhesion? And I want you to start from the middle really, and I want you to just take your time in getting that glue warm underneath. And when I feel safe with this, I shall take all the pins out and flip it over. Okay, so I'm just going to, and you do need a big mat, and if you haven't got a big mat, then use your ironing board and commit to a couple of days of weaving before you, if you do ironing. I don't. It's always personal choice. That you've got the space and the time to be able to do this part. Now you might find when you come to these edges here that you can't figure out whether it should have gone under or should have gone over. But at the end of the day, we're going to be cutting this about here. So you're not going to see a huge amount on that seam. Ideally, we'll cut about here, and the seam will be very close to, let's say, the edge of that diamond. So I wouldn't worry too much about the edges. They want to be neat, but they don't want to be I don't want you to fret. I want you to get it as just as best as you can. So I'm going to just stand up now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking these side pins out. So it's just a case of taking your time and just melting that glue on the G700. And I don't think you'll get it all, and this is why we flip it over, but you will probably get as much as you need to actually be able to flip it over without it all coming apart. Because I did some of this weaving before I committed to this pattern. See, that doesn't look right to me. That should be under there like that, I think. Yeah, and that's not quite right. I think that should be, I think that's, but at the end of the day, we're going to stitch right near there. I'm going to ignore it, but that doesn't look quite right to me at all. This is why taking a picture, you can figure out what needs to be moved and what needs to be just moved under. This top part, we're going to chop most of this off. So if you haven't, for instance, oops, if you haven't put, let's say, let's have a look at this. Maybe you haven't put this row in here, then I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's a long piece. It's a long piece, deliberately so we could get a nice decent square out of it. And whatever you have left over, you know what, you can make into something else. You can use for something else, I'm sure. I know that's not right, but I'm ignoring it. Yeah, so just do a bit at a time, and don't take any pins out until you're 100% sure that you're happy with how it looks, that you're confident that when you come to cut and stitch, because this is the most, you know, this is the finishing off part really, the cutting and the stitching. Top stitching to join all the layers together. So I'm just taking the pins out at the bottom here. And I'm just going to let that heat go through the layers and hopefully adhere a fair bit of it. Fair bit. Right, okay. So, what do you reckon? Shall we give it a go? I still can't get that one. You know that, you know it's not right, because how should that be? Or should it be like that? Oh, actually, I think it is right. I think it's just that. Anyway, we're going to cut there, so I'm going to leave it, otherwise I'm going to get paranoid about it. Right, so I think I'm fairly safe. I just want to try and get it so we can flip it. This is a bit like a pancake, right? If you don't get this bit right, it could easily fall apart. And like I was just going to say before, the piece that I did before, I decided I wasn't going to use that. It wasn't defined enough. And I flipped it over and tried to sort of press it and all of this. And it literally dropped apart. It literally fell apart. I was absolutely mortified. Not that I was going to use it. But I thought, whoa, that's a good lesson learnt. That's something I need to pass on to you guys. That, you know, you need to really watch it. So some of this still isn't gluing, but that, I mean, the G700 is a very, very light adhesive. So, let's see if I dare. Okay, I'm going to go for it, guys. Whoop. So you can see, look, see, still hasn't adhered. So you just really, I mean, a nice pressing cloth would help get that heat through. But coming over it on the back, that will definitely glue it together, and that's what we want. Okay, and steam might help. I mean, sometimes they say steam, you shouldn't use steam with Vaseline, but actually I found it to be really good because it's hot, it's super hot because it's steam, and sometimes that works, especially if you're going through layers like this. So now that is glued. Yeah. But it's a moment of nerve, holding your nerve. and really give it a nice press, because you definitely want this to be stuck down. And it's good that you're seeing me do it, even though it's a bit boring, because you can see how much I'm having to work at it to make sure that it's all stuck. I'm happy with that now. Very happy now. Much happier than I was before. And all these bits at the bottom here, which let me show you, which are still loose, I want you to see. Okay, don't worry about them too much, because we're going to cut most of that away. So it doesn't need to be brilliant. This is why we did our piece a lot bigger than we needed. If I'd have said to you, do a 14.5-inch square, you wouldn't have known how big it had to be. Right, so let's flip this. Oh, gives me the collywobbles. Okay, so don't worry about these bits at the top, because we're going to cut all that off. Obviously you want it to be nice and straight. So now we have to cut our 14.5-inch square. So the best way of tackling this is to first, this is a 14-inch ruler. I suppose we could get the bigger one. Let me get the bigger one, just so I don't make a mess. So the first thing to do is to cut it off at the top. Now look, you've got a massive piece. You can see now the whole length of it. So wherever you cut here, and I suggest you perhaps do 1/4 inch maybe above these pink diamonds, these light pink diamonds, as your first line. You've got loads this end, all right, so you mustn't worry. So you can just line this up, bring it up here. So what I'm going to do now, you might find that it's not the straightest. You might have kinked over a bit because if you remember, we started with a line going across here. Well, by this here, unless you've kept it really tight, you might have drifted a little bit. But what I say is I would just go with what fits. So for instance, as I was saying, go 1/4 inch above the top of these diamonds here, and that can be your seam allowance. In fact, you could come down lower, but we'll go there, because I have done most of that. So let's just line that up. So I'm just eyeing up my points there, and I'll just go straight across. Nice sharp blade, because you're going through loads of layers. So there's our first cut. So I haven't measured anything yet, so you can see that we've got a nice straight edge. You can see that all of these are the same. So now we're going to cut an edge. But what I want to do is to make sure I'm going to get my 14.5 inches in, okay? So I'll just put my ruler down. So there's my 14.5 inch mark. So we've got plenty of room. So I can bring this over a wee bit. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So do you see the pink edge of this? I'm going to do a 1/4 inch beyond that, and that will be the seam allowance. I mean, to be perfectly honest, if you start stitching onto the pink, don't worry about it. Okay, so there's our second cut. I just need to trim this away. In fact, I could just bring it down. Oh, anybody want an ice cream? Honestly, you could set your clock by them, couldn't you? Oh dear. Right, so there's our first two cuts. So you can see that I've got my seam allowance in here. There's my 1/4 inch running all the way along. So whatever happens on this edge, you can see now that it doesn't really matter, because it's going to be part of the seam allowance, okay? So I think what we'll do is we'll cut the other side. So let's just wriggle it round, still be very respectful of it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a measurement across. So I want it 14.5 inches. So you can just, so there's my 14.5 there, there's my one. Now do you see this pink line here? So if I go 1/4 inch beyond that side, then I think we're good to go, guys. So 1/4 inch beyond that pink edge. And then once you've actually trimmed it, gosh, it looks a whole lot better. So let's just take the rest of that off. There we go. So there's not much waste from that, is there? Right, so now we need to find a line for the 14.5 inches down. Shirley says chocolate. Hold on a minute, Shirley. You're sunning yourself in Maspalomas or whatever it was. Is that Spain? I'm not sure. And you're asking us for an ice cream. I think it's your turn. Chocolate sauce. What a cheek. I think I better come over and get one from you. Christine says she'll have a 99 on Susan as well. Nicola says it could be as big as your starting strips at all. Absolutely, it depends on because you have enough fabric. You can see we've got this bit here, which is kind of waste, but why not use it for you know, like a pencil case or something? But I do prefer to have this longer length to weave to give you a chance to choose which end that you want to work with. All right. So this is our 14.5 inch mark. So let's have a look down here. So we are near here, across there. I think I'd be happier to have a straight line that's obvious, yeah, and that's only well, 1/8 of an inch bigger than what the 1/4 inch would be. But I think I'm happier with that. Don't know why, but I am. So I'm going to just check up here as well. Yeah, so I'm going to go down the middle of my diamonds. I figure that's the easiest route. There we go. So now we've cut our square. Now can you see the difference it makes? A, cut, and B, we haven't got it right way up. That's the right way up. Now it looks amazing. So with this little bit here, you've got scraps left over, you'll have enough fabric, so why not take some of these shorter pieces out. You'll be able to do that. It's only some of it's glued on the G700, but a lot of it won't be. You could pull those out, or you could tuck them under and you could continue with your weaving and make that into, you know, perhaps a nice nice clutch bag or something. It's really lovely, isn't it? So yeah, it's not waste really, not waste. I can't possibly throw that away. I nearly did the other day and then Abigail told me off, so I had to keep it. Okay, so the next thing is that if you've got little bits, by the way, if little bits drop off, just ignore it because you've got a seam allowance there. So now all you're going to do is stitch all the way around to secure this, okay? I wouldn't go do anything else until this is all secured, okay? So let's just, I think I am happy that that's glued. I just get a bit anxious lifting up this piece, it's so delicate. Right, so let's get on with the stitching, because I can put the border on for you at the very least. I'm going to make sure that Millie doesn't go anywhere near my iron. She's around somewhere. She's loitering. Oh, blimey. So what we'll do is we'll top stitch all the way around. It says it in the pattern. I'm not deviating at all. I'm sticking to what the pattern says. So it makes sense to everybody. Right, let's just move my phone. Yeah, let's have a look. Yes, Sue, you're right. What a difference a few cuts make. You're right. It really does. And but it's the same with anything, isn't it? Once you trim. So let's just hold it up. just glorious, isn't it? And maybe take a picture of it just to make sure you're happy with how things have been woven. But I really stress that taking a picture before you glue it down, it really screams if it's wrong. You'll know what I mean. If you take a picture, it absolutely tells you straight away that it's wrong. You can see something's not right. It's better than looking down on it. So I'm just going to take this up to my machine. I'm going to stitch stitch length 3, and I'm just going to go round the entire 4 sides, 1/8 of an inch in. I'm going to use my stiletto. You don't want any of these, let me put you on the side camera, you don't want any of these to catch. Okay, so hopefully we might see this better on the side. You're not that near, but do you see how this is sticking up? Because there's no glue underneath there. So you just want to make sure that when you come to it, that it's lying down, it's flat. And there's a little one there. So you just want to just make sure that it's flat. My thread is catching. Why is that catching? Don't know. Right, let's carry on. And go slowly, because you don't want any of these bits ruffled up. So just take your time. These pinks are lovely. Sure you don't want a pink cushion, Abigail? Although I must admit, the 2 cushions that I made, which come up when I do the website, whatever were they called, from Fantasia? See what I mean? I can never remember my own patterns. They are super duper favourites of mine, and they're on the sofa all the time. But these might nudge them out. And I didn't want 2 purple ones. I just I wanted something different. Well, plus it shows you can see things being made differently. So you can see, I don't know if you can see, but this is nice and neat. It's laying flat now. Much happier. So don't attempt putting your let's go back a stitch, because that didn't catch. Can you see it sticking up? Little monkey. So let's just, this is where the stiletto comes in handy if you're concentrating. And as you're stitching, you shouldn't be able to see any G700, any glue, you know, any glue sheet. Your weaving should be tight-ish, okay? If you've ever watched somebody actually weaving on a loom, they spend a lot of time having put the shuttle through and bringing their, there's a name for it, oh gosh, if anybody's a weaver, tell me. You bring it down to tighten up the stitches, to bring the stitches together. And that's what we've had to do with this. There's a name for it, isn't there? Look it up and then let me know. There we go. So how are we getting on? Is everybody okay? Oh, Karen says she'll have a pink cushion if you're giving it away. Jackie says I do. Is it worth using a sheet of tissue paper? Well, yes, I mean you could, as long as you can see. You're only wanting to do 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So as long as you can see, Emma, of course, what a good idea. But I think if you've got a stiletto and you've learnt how to use it, like me, you know, it's my 3rd hand now, wouldn't be without it, then you should be fine. And you've got your, you know, like I'm doing, lifting my needle up, my foot up, just adjusting. Obviously you don't want to get your fingers too near the needle. Yeah, that's caught it. Look, can you see? Can you see there's a loop there? We don't want that. So let's just trim that bit away. If you've got a machine that lifts, you know, the foot lifts up when you stop, they're brilliant because that really controls things nicely. So don't forget, this is just a top stitch, a baste. So it don't matter if you stop and start, better to do that. Okay, just tuck the tail in. That's it. And just, if you've got one of these big tables, which I have for this machine but never use it because it supports your work, whereas I'm having to move it. So we're nearly there. But this is worth it, for then you've got the accuracy and you won't have any lumps and bumps when you put your flanges on. Okay, so we'll just come down this last little bit. Good, that's it. Much better, much happier now because it's all been stitched together. Can you see? So now I'm happy to move that around. Yes, it would make a great table mat. It really would. So now let's get on to the putting the flanges on, or the borders. That's not a nice word, is it? Flange. It must be the proper word though. My camera seems to be at a funny angle today. It is square, but the camera's not. So, right. So what we need is the 4 pieces. When I looked at the pattern earlier, it didn't actually say 4. I think it said, I'll have a look, it says cut borders 21 by 3, but I'm sure you wouldn't work out that you need 4. So I didn't beat myself up too much. So what I do is I fold my fabric in half. You need to find the centre. Well, if you think about it, it's 14.5, so you want 7.25. If you want, you can put a mark in. I mean, I must admit we did go a little bit over, didn't we? So I might move that so it's the centre of that diamond. Not that it matters. It matters not. Okay, so right sides together. Now, which fold line was it? Because I already had a crease on this. Right sides together. And just make sure that's going in the centre. Now you could, if you wanted to, you could do all 4 at the same time. I wouldn't, I would do one at a time. So what I do is I tend to fold these back so the fold is parallel with the edge. You can see that fine. And that gives me an indication where the edge of my cushion is. Can you see the crease? So all I want to do is stitch up to that dot. So it's a 1/4 inch down and a 1/4 inch in from my fold there. And that's where I'm going to stop stitching. On the other side, I'm going to fold my fabric, give it a little crease, measure, I'm guessing, but you measure. So there's my 1/4 inch dot there. And that's 1/4 inch in from the fold and 1/4 inch down. So I'm going to start stitching there and I'm going to stitch all the way across to that dot there. And we do that 4 times. So let's get this done. What time have we got? Oh, it's only 1:45. So obviously you're going to pin, clip, do whatever you like. It'll obviously take the weight of clips because it's a massive amount of layers here. Little back stitch, and then we're doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way across. It's moved a little bit, but I don't mind about that. And you know, I really would suggest you get your table to hold the weight of this. It's quite hefty. For anybody that's made it already, you know it's quite a hefty thing. Can you see it? It doesn't want to all go with the work. So I'm just going to check my 1/4 inch again because it's moved. and I need to stop there. So it's 1/4 inch in and it's a 1/4 inch down. So we've gone from side to side, okay? So when we look at this, if we fold this back, that's what it looks like, okay? So now let's put the next one on. Oh, let's get something funny on my screen there. You can't see it, but I can. What you're going to do is fold this out of the way. You can pin it if you want. Anything so it's just out of your way. Let's give it put a pin in. Or a clip, anything will do. And then get your next piece. Fold it in half again. I've got a bit of a selvage going on all of mine. Find the centre. And you could measure again. So we'll go with about 7 1/4, just to give us a little bit, and it's worth being this accurate. So let's pin that. I seem to have lost my pins there. They're there, just a bit far away. I like to have some on my mat there. Okay, so then we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to take our piece up to the top, and you can fold it back. You can see the corner, so fold it back, get yourself a mark and do yourself a 1/4 inch. You'll be able to feel the edge of the other one underneath. You don't want to go over the top of it, so just be careful. So let's give that a pin, and then on this edge do the same again, and it might move. If it moves, it doesn't matter, but it gives us a start. So that's the second piece we're putting on. These are really easy to do. There's nothing complicated about it at all. So start where the dot is. Make sure your other fabric is out of the way. Pop your needle onto the dot. Do a couple of little back stitches. Don't go beyond the dot. So you can see, oh sorry, actually you can see there quite well, can't you? Oh dear. Yeah, so like I say, you can see quite well. Just make sure that your fabric is kept out of the way. You don't want to be stitching on it. So just, you know, make sure that you haven't caught it, and like I say, if you've pinned it back, you should be fine. If you have your walking foot, this fabric won't move, but I haven't, so it is. So let's just go with it. And so once again, I'm going to stop 1/4 inch. Okay. What time is it? Oh, it's not too bad. So let me take this one out. Let me show you what it looks like. Hold on. There we go. So we've got 2 pieces on now, look. So let's have a look, see what it looks like. Gorgeous. Really lovely. Don't forget, if you want to have another look, make sure you put it the right way around. The light one is always on top. So let's do the third one. Let's just cut that back a bit, look, because there we go. Try not to pull your stitches too much. So let's just fold that back. We don't want it in the way. Put a clip in if you like, it'll take the weight because there's so many layers, as I keep saying. So fold your fabric in half, find the centre again, and don't trust to luck. You know, do your measuring. It does make a difference to the accuracy of everything, because you do need these bits hanging over. So you might think, oh, why is she doing it so it's hanging over? Well, because we want to do a 45-degree angle, we want to do a mitered corner. I'm just looking at mine, I'm thinking, did I? Yes, of course I did. You forget. You forget. And don't forget, I made this, well, I don't know, 6 weeks ago. Okay, so pop your fabric back onto your corner. You can see that's where your corner is, just about. Got a spare bit lurking, and we want the starting point to be there. So that's a 1/4 inch in and a 1/4 inch down from your fold, and you see the fold there, and that's where our mark is. So if we come down this end, we'll do the same again, but the rate we're going, we actually did move it 1/4 inch so far every time. So we're stitching from dot to dot, we're not going to the edges. You'll have to unpick if you do, so which would be a nuisance. Okay, so we'll put the needle in. Just make sure you don't catch that fabric underneath. It's not the end of the world if you do, but it's better if you don't. So, oh sorry, I keep forgetting to change. I do beg your pardon. Mind of my own. Do what you like, Liz. Just do what you like. So I'm supporting the weight of my cushion top because it's, like I keep saying, it's hefty. Okay. So, nice little back stitch into that corner. Oh, blow me! I didn't do right sides together, guys and girls. Can you see? Okay. Not to worry. I'll unpick that. Nobody said. Did anybody say? You got it the wrong way around, Lizzie. Right sides together is always good. I shouldn't be let out on my own these days. Well, at least I noticed. Wouldn't it be awful if we'd stitched it all together and cut everything and I hadn't noticed? Good Lord. So if you do have to unpick, do be careful of all your layers, because obviously some of the top layers are still not stuck down, are they? They're literally just stitched on the edge to hold them. It's only those bottom layers that are stuck with the G700 glue. So do be careful if you have to unpick. There we go. Nothing's lost. We just do it again. It's no bother. I promise. So let's do this. Let's pretend we can edit that bit out. As if. Right, here we go. Now obviously you take your little bits of thread out, but we can just carry on like nothing happened really. And then we'll come on to the interesting bit of doing the corners. And I must admit, this is one of my favourite things to do. You've got to be fairly careful with it. Oh, that's better. I'm just checking the others now. It's like, whoa. Oh dear. Right, let's go on the overhead. So we've got the last one to do, and so it's just rinse and repeat. Let's try it right sides together this time. That would be fun. So get my ruler, never guess, and take that bit back. So we're going to about here. And put that to the mark. Don't forget we're going to do our 1/4 inch again, so bring your fabric down, take it back, pin it out of the way. So if you pin it right back like that, you're not going to catch it, are you, with your machine? 1/4 inch in, 1/4 inch down, mark it, give it a little pin. Come down to the bottom. I'm not going to even bother marking this because it has been moving every time, but I'll pin it so it's in the right place. There we go. And I'm taking that pin right through all of the layers because, like I say, all those layers are very vulnerable because only the bottom ones are glued. So let's just stitch that one on. And then we'll do one of these corners. And at least you'll see how that's done. Okay. So what you want to make sure is that you don't see any of your basting, any of that top stitching. So you want to go in more than your 1/8 of an inch, but try not to go any more than your 1/4 inch, if that makes any sense. Okay, so let's have a little looky, see what it looks like. And I'm going to bring up the big ironing mat because it would be a good idea. This is Abigail's, it's got to go back to Abigail. I only borrowed it to do this project with, so she can have it back now. Plus, I've ordered myself a big one. A big mat, yep. Okay, so what I want to do is just press these seams out, make them nice and neat. I use my little iron for that. And just get into the corner. Don't press any of this, but do press the seams. Be careful of your weaving. Has everybody enjoyed this? Has everybody enjoyed the project? And those that have worked on it, I know our Nicola absolutely loved it because that's really her thing. But those that have done it and those that have watched, how's it been? See that bit there? That is not right. That's that bit that I kept saying to you it wasn't right, but I'm going to ignore it because it's too late to change it now. There should be, I think it should be one of these, look, coming over there. And I could change that, but let's leave it for the time being. Okay, so to do these corners, still got a few threads there. But I could, you know, when we were looking at it right first thing, I couldn't see. And that's why you should take a photograph and think about it and try to work out what was missing. Okay, so when we come to this bit here, what I want you to do is to straighten this one out at the top. And then I want you to fold this diagonally over. So both of these pieces are laying parallel, so they're sitting right on top of each other. And you want to make sure that the whole thing, so not just here, make sure that all of this is sitting right on top of each other, parallel, okay? And it's good to pin. It's good to pin it. You will need to get your ruler in here and your pen and everything, so you want to give yourself a bit of room. Okay, so we've got it, so it's absolutely, don't worry about this being waste. We've got it absolutely dead on top of each other. And if you noticed, I've brought this seam down. And you can see here, let me get my stiletto, you can see here my little dot. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the little dot where I marked stop and start stitching. That's where we need to draw and to stitch from. Okay, we don't stitch from here to there, we always stitch from there out, and we try our hardest to get our needle into that dot, but it's not super imperative, you know, don't lose any sleep over it. So what the next thing we need to do, and we'll just do this one, is to get our 60-degree angle. Let me get this the right way round. There we go. So our 60-degree angle is here. Bear with. our 60-degree angle is running along here, okay? And you need to put that on the edge of your fabric, like that. Okay, so that line that we just looked at is now running across my fabric. But of course, oh, it's not 60 degree, sorry, 45 degree. I've been doing 60 degrees so often at the moment. So it's 45 degree, 45 degree, 45 degree. And it's the same thing. If I put it on my paper, you'll be able to see, there's my 45 degree line. And it sits along the top of the raw edges like that, do you see? But can you also see it naturally follows the line of the fold of your cushion? So all you need to do is bring it along so your dot, which is just there, is right on the edge of your ruler. Now there's a lot of thickness, so I want you to take your time and draw yourself a diagonal line. Yep, going from there out. So you don't want to go that way, you'd be fed up. You'd be fed up if you went that way, because that would be so wrong. But never cut anything until you're absolutely 100% sure that you've got it right. What you could do is pin along here, open this up, because we've done all the measuring now. Pretend that you've stitched, cut. What does it look like? Phew, it's a 45 degree angle, it's a mitre. Okay, so let's put it onto the machine and we'll stitch that bit, and then all you're going to do is do all the others exactly the same. Okay. Right, let's have a quick looky. So we're going from that inside corner, so swing everything around. Keep your seams here flat, so your seams are going back over the cushion, if you like. Pop your needle down, and you want your needle to go right into that where you stop stitching, basically where the drawn point is. So I'm just manoeuvring. I've got my needle now right in that corner. I'm going to leave that pin in because I want these still to be looking like that. I don't want anything to shift. So foot down. I would only do maybe 1, 2 back stitches, that's all. You don't need anything else. Follow the line that you've drawn all the way down. Keep that perfect. Do another little back stitch. And we can have a look to what that looks like. So if I push that back, so I've stitched from there, that bit there, down to here. Make sure we're done right sides together. And then we're going to trim that. But before you trim anything, open it up and have a look. And you should get the perfect mitre. And obviously all of this is spare fabric, so you can, I've still got threads there which are annoying me. So you can trim that away now. So let's do it. Hold on, let's put it back to where it was. But don't trim anything until you have checked. There we go. And all that needs is a nice press. There we go, give it a finger press for now. And that will give you a really nice mitred corner. Something's not flat there, let's just give that a cut. You can open that up if you want to. That's how it should look, nice and flat. There we go, that's better. And then you could give it a steam, and then you're good to go. So you need to do all 4. I might sort that out. See, if I put my finger there, it's right. So it's missing a mauve bit. It's missing that, look. Can you see? So all I've got to do is unpick this and pop that over the top, which I shall do. Otherwise it's spoiled, isn't it? You like it to be perfect. Just looking at it to make sure. Yeah, that is. Lovely. Oh dear, oh dear. It's all good fun, isn't it? Anyway, so we have done all of the weaving. We've done the mitered corners. The next stage is super easy, and I'd like to think that you'll be able to follow the pattern. You're just putting your two backs together, stitching, inserting the zip over the top. It's all in the pattern. You're just bagging this cushion out. You're just putting right sides together, bag it out. Now you will need to trim the backing, and then you're just top stitching. Let me show you on here. I can't get this done tomorrow, so I've got William tomorrow, so I'm a bit stuck, but I'll try and get it done over the next couple of days. And you're top stitching right close to this edge, okay, and then that gives you that a look on the back, which is really lovely. Might need a smaller cushion, do you think? I do like a plumpy cushion though, don't you? Yeah, so to actually divide it all up, give it a press, and then you're just top stitching, basting top stitching through all of the layers that make the back and front. Oh, naughty thread. You're just then making it like a faux flange on the back, but the front is how it should be. Right, I hope that's okay. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, the zip installation is one of my old favourites. I've probably been doing that for forever and a day, where you stitch the seam together and you do a slightly wider seam, 1/2 inch, I think it probably says that in the pattern. Press it open, press it flat, and then put your zip over the top and just stitch it. And use your quilter's tape to hold your zip down. And then you're just going to run your seam ripper up the centre to open up the zip seam. Yeah, it's dead easy. What I do suggest you do is to reinforce both ends. So where the zipper stops and starts here, I would definitely do some here. Do some 2 or 3 lines of stitching to give it strength, okay? Because again, it's a vulnerable point. Okay, so that's it really, but it's a lovely, nice finish, very, very neat. It's just a lovely, lovely make. I hope you enjoy making it, and I'd love to see more. And guess where you're going to put them? Yes, you're going to put them in the album. Oh, lovely. Right, I'll let you be. It's 8:10. I've overstayed my welcome. So today's Thursday. On Monday, our lovely Kath is actually on my page, and she's going to be recreating Wendy, which is the woven little purse, which is very apt. Yes, Kath chose it especially because we've been doing weaving, so it'd be nice to revisit that. And then on Thursday next week, Kath and I are in the group together doing our Mid-Month Madness revamp. Actually, I don't know what it is yet. I can't remember if Kath knows. But we will be together stitching different things. And then it'll be time for pattern reveal. Better get going, hadn't I? Right, I'll see you all again soon. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's been an absolute treat. I always love my Thursday nights. Yeah, and long may they continue. And anyway, have a good rest of your evening. Good night.